What has happened? Welcome back, guys. It's time to do a couple of van upgrades, and since last time I saw you, the van has taken a bit of a change in direction, and it's an absolute tip in the back, and it's also an absolute tip in the front as well. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm looking at filling in all the metal areas in the front that I was going to fill with wood, and I've just been planning a few different ways to do it. And also in the back, I'm just sort of sorting out the kitchen a bit, making it a bit more streamlined, and I'm just sorting out a couple of odd jobs that I didn't sort out in the past. One thing I did want to show you guys was look at these new sexy handles I got for the kitchen thing. They are very, very nice, eh? But on to the more important things at hand. What I'm doing is, I know that I did this wooden top bit before I went to Amsterdam, but now I need to fill in all these bare metal areas around the edges here. And actually, I'm not worried too much about how I'm going to join the wood to this area. I'm more worried about these areas on the ends here. They're like a giant ball of like metal, and there's so many different angles. I'm a little bit apprehensive about how we're going to get wood to look really nice around there. So I'm starting off easy, getting myself back into it, and at the moment I'm screwing these wooden boards along the front, and then I've cut out some more parts of these cladding, and I'm going to screw them to these. Basically, these are also just screwed on with 3 stainless steel screws, and I'm going to show you how I've left these out so I can show you how to do it and everything, and then I'm going to do the other one on the other side. But I've done this so that everything yet again sort of bolts off, so I can get to parts underneath or do anything that I need to underneath. I don't know why I would, but it's just something that I've always liked to be able to do just in the long run. So to get these wooden battens screwed to the steel, what I'm doing is I'm finding these stainless steel screws so they're strong enough, and I've got the correct drill bit, and I'm drilling through and into these, like where I've chose the hole points, and then pushing with a lot of pressure to screw these through so they don't round off the tops, because if you round it off, it's a right nightmare to try and get them out. And then from here, this will be the base onto which the cladding will mount. I remember you could also use self-tapping screws that look a little bit like this, and they've just got a little bit of like a drill point on the end. I do have these obviously, but they're just a bit too short, so I'm having to drill and then screw in the other screws. So I've now managed to get all the cladding pieces in place, and I think it looks really good. I've had to use these silver 20mm screws because I don't have any sort of bronze coloured or wood coloured 20mm screws, so I will change these over when I get some. But what I've done is I've put them along those battens, and you'll see that they're sort of staggered a bit because it follows the curve of the metal. But I think it looks really good. I'm quite happy with it. All I need to do is trim them down so it's a nice flush curve, and then fill in the little gap here. But I mean, I could even do something cool with this gap. Maybe, I don't know, maybe have like an extra tiny bit of storage, or even some cool LED lighting. I don't know, we'll have a think about it. It could be like the new lighting in the front when you open the door, with some LED strip lighting could come on instead. So that I don't lose position of where these slats are going to go, I'm going to actually cut them in place with my little rotary tool. If you guys have a more sensible or better way to do this, please leave a comment below. I would actually like to know. I just thought that as it's in place and I've got this little tool, I can blast through it pretty quick. But yeah, let's try it out. One thing I've come to learn doing this van conversion is that there are some jobs in life that are very fun to do, but some that just take hours and hours. Cutting these slats was one of those really long-winded, annoying jobs. But I actually really like the way it's turned out. I actually really like this blank space in here, and I might see if I can find a very thin bit of wood to sort of fill the gap so you can't see the metal or the insulation, but that gives that little gap so I can put some LED lighting in there, because I think that would actually look really cool. It's another stunning day in Dorset, and today I'm going to be looking at how to sort out these sort of corners. Now obviously wood is not extremely famous for enjoying curves and everything, so you have to get quite clever and quite artistic with how the wood fits into these sort of areas. What I've got here is I've just cut a straight bit of cladding and cut out this little groove here so it slots closer up to this end. One thing I did want to mention was that I'm very lucky in regards that I've got access to some pretty nice tools. Like I've got this bandsaw here and everything, and I've got my circular saw. These do make jobs like easier in certain areas, but please don't be put off if you're watching these videos and you think, oh my god, I'm never going to be able to do that, he's got all this equipment. Because actually you can achieve just as much, I feel, with hand saws and jigsaws and other much more affordable tools. Yeah, so guys, don't be put off if you just think I've got really good facilities and like and that's the only reason that I'm able to do this conversion, because it really isn't. You're only restricted by how much time you're willing to put in. I just need to make a slight adjustment to that curve, but otherwise it looks really nice, like the way it joins, nice and clean. And then afterwards I can just focus on this like weird gap that I've got going all the way around. So I used another bit of cladding and I cut it down and shaved it off so it was like a sort of like a door wedge, and slipped it on the other piece that was just here. And now it fills in that gap so it creates like a curve. So can you see that there? It sort of follows it all the way around, which is really nice. What I want to do is sort out this bit where it's pulling in a bit further on this piece, so I need to just push it out, space it out a little bit, and then it will line up beautifully with that. So next on the agenda was to fill the little gap up here. What I've done is I've taken a piece of wood and I've machined it so it has a sort of a cross profile like that. And I've cut this sort of sharper edge here, but basically what I want it to do is to slot up there so it sort of fits in with the angles and everything, but then is also set back a little bit. And I'm going to create 4 sections so that I can follow the curve. 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll be 2 like this, and then 2 with like a curve at the end for down at the other end as well. So I've been asked this a few times about what glue I use, and I use this Unibond No More Nails stuff, but make sure you get the waterproof indoor-outdoor stuff, because I actually ended up getting some of the indoor stuff, and it's very different, well obviously because it only does indoor instead of outdoor as well, but it is nowhere near as strong. This is sort of, when it dries, it's sort of quite like flexible and squidgy, but like very, very strong. And the other stuff sets like hard, like not like glass, but it's sort of more rigid and it actually fractures, and it was useless at holding up the roof because I ran out doing this bit. So I did this bit in this stuff and the other side in the indoor stuff, and when I came back from Amsterdam this was actually hanging down where I don't know what the vibration over driving, it just fractured it away from the roof, so it was completely useless. Because I mean I've been using it indoors as well, it's not like it was wet, so I definitely wouldn't recommend that, but this stuff is insane. So I still need to screw them in place, but actually these 2 bits fit really well. This bit didn't fit well, so I've had to recut this in a different shape. And because obviously I went by eye to fit these ones, it's now out by this tiny amount. So I've cut this little sliver that will slot into the tongue and groove of the cladding, and it will go up there and it will fill in that gap, and I'm going to make it look really nice and tidy. So guys, this is basically the first sort of look of like a full wooden roof in the van. All I need to do is tidy up the back ends here and everything, and I might even add another bit of cladding on top of this wood just to fill in the gap. But we're really getting there. All I really need to do is sort out this area here and this little area either side of the windscreen. I'm going to look into these areas at a later date. I don't really know where to go with that because it's so many different angles. It'd be a right nightmare to fill it with wood. I need to give this a good edge so it meets this wood better instead of just the tongue and groove edge. I need to do that on the reverse side as well. But yeah, just cleaning up, sanding off edges, and So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to wire up this LED strip so that when you open the door, it comes on just like the normal light would. And these are the two connectors that connected to the previous light that was in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you. I know which one to wire up to at the moment, but I'll show you just so you can see as well. On here there's two plugs, one that has a green and purple end and another one that's like a T plug, and that has a black and white cable and a grey and yellow cable. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the negative into the grey and yellow one so it's touching some metal. This is just to show you as an example. And then I'm also going to touch the metal with the red one on the green and purple. So the green and purple to the positive, grey and yellow to the negative. I'm in the van, sorry. So if I unlock it, the LEDs come on. And then if I lock it, you see they phase out. Now it looks a little bit different on the screen though, because obviously the camera picks up what the eyes don't really see. So you'll probably see them like weirdly phasing in and out, but it's really cool because they don't just turn on and off, they actually phase out, which is really nice. So I've got my little connectors wired up now. Boom, there you go. So the door is open. So if I close the door, just remember the side door is open, so every time I lock the van the horn goes off. So, but I did show you there, so the lights came off, and if I unlock it, they come back on. What do you guys think? So, close all the doors now.